Revelation chapter 9. One might say that Revelation chapter 9 is not for the faint of heart. It is the part of the grand celestial drama where the curtains are pulled back not to reveal cherubs softly strumming harps, but rather, a darkness that writhes and swarms. It is here that the abyss itself breathes, where the world of men finds itself invaded not by mere armies of flesh and blood, but by a judgment more terrible, more surreal, more poetic in its horror than any mortal war. This is no idle nightmare, no mere flight of John's apocalyptic imagination. It is the unveiling of the reckoning, the moment where those who have placed their confidence in the fortresses of men and the intellect of their own minds find that such walls crumble like dust before the trumpet blast of heaven. Steel yourself, then, and listen well, not with the ears of idle curiosity, but with the heart of one who seeks truth amid the thunder of judgment and mercy alike. Verse 1. And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. Verse 2. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. Verse 3. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power. Verse 4. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God in their foreheads. Verse 5. And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months, and their torment was as the torment of a scorpion, when he striketh a man. Verse 6. And in those days shall men seek death, and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. Verse 7. And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle, and on their heads were as it were crowns like gold, and their faces were as the faces of men. Verse 8. And they had hair as the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions. Verse 9. And they had breastplates, as it were breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots of many horses running to battle. Verse 10. And they had tails like unto scorpions, and there were stings in their tails, and their power was to hurt men 5 months. Verse 11. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. Verse 12. One woe is past, and, behold, there come 2 woes more hereafter. Verse 13. And the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar which is before God. Verse 14. Saying to the sixth angel which had the trumpet, Loose the 4 angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. Verse 15. And the 4 angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour, and a day, and a month, and a year, for to slay the third part of men. Verse 16. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, and I heard the number of them. Verse 17. And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire, and of jacinth, and brimstone, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. Verse 18. By these 3 was the third part of men killed, by the fire, and by the smoke, and by the brimstone, which issued out of their mouths. Verse 19. For their power is in their mouth, and in their tails, for their tails were like unto serpents, and had heads, and with them they do hurt. Verse 20. And the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues yet repented not of the works of their hands, that they should not worship devils, and idols of gold, and silver, and brass, and stone, and of wood, which neither can see, nor hear, nor walk. Verse 21. Neither repented they of their murders, nor of their sorceries, nor of their fornication, nor of their thefts. Conclusion. And so we stand at the end of a chapter that does not whisper, but roars. It is a chapter that refuses to be tamed into pleasant allegory or brushed aside as an inconvenience to modern sensibilities. It is, rather, a dire and unrelenting call to those who still have ears to hear. Here we see not the fantasy of an ancient mystic, but a vision of humanity's rebellion meeting its consequence. The terrifying locusts, the bound angels, The unimaginable armies, they are not merely terrors of destruction, but manifestations of the great truth that all things, even judgment, are held in the hands of God. And yet, even as the world burns and the heavens shake, still the final verses of the chapter ring with a sorrow more profound than the plagues themselves, that many, even in the face of such dreadful warnings, would not repent. So the question is left hanging in the air like the smoke of the abyss: if not now, then when? If not before the trumpet sounds, then after. And if not after, then perhaps never. The door still stands open. The warning still resounds. But for how long? That, dear listener, is not for us to say. But it is most certainly for us to decide.